and the district attorney for my county, and to the credit of the district attorney, or at least one of the lawyers working in the office, who was willing to answer questions for the office, he and I got along famously, but
well, then let's get right to it. It's the pussy comitatus problem.
All right. I've got a question actually for Diogenes. What would you say, if you could boil it down to one word, what value are you most driven by? And I could give examples. I don't want to be patronizing.
retribution.
Okay, there we go. I don't even need to give examples. That's a good answer.
Value.
I'd like to hear elaboration if you could. What do you need retribution for? Who are you looking for retribution from?
The circumcision.
What form is the retribution going to take?
It starts with the circumcision and it moves on from there.
No, I want to hear Diogenes.
A young boy, the Jews strapped me onto a table.
Well, they botched the circumcision, Zach. That's the problem.
Wait. Can you take my question seriously,
Yes,
if you will?
I do want to. I'm going to look. I try to intersperse some content for the people who want to talk about my penis.
That was a little musical interlude. Now back to the content.
Yeah. So ultimately, if you're going to look at politics over the last, I'd say, 50 years, certainly. And I wouldn't want to go well beyond 50 years because that would probably start to infringe on things that would make it impossible to make any kind of substantive point without disagreeing about other major political things. So last 50 years, we can clearly see that the primary feature of politics and lawmaking, essentially has been marked by a complete lack of accountability and responsibility.
Can you be specific there?
What is the penalty? There's a Latin saying. And
Please don't scroll. I'm just trying to be.
But it essentially boils down to he who has the power to command.
Please don't scroll. I'm just trying to become a big content creator one day, but I have no supporters. So if you have the chance, please subscribe.
You're Jewish enough to comprehend what I just said. I can say.
I like the first part, but what do you mean the same as has commanded?
Please don't scroll.
The same as if he had been commanded, or what?
Right, that's exactly right.
So you're saying if you have, let me try to reiterate, see if I got it right. The person who has the power and ability to be a good leader, but is not being a good leader, it's the same as if he had just been kind of
a big content creator one day,
pushed around or something?
No. Think about it this way.
Please don't scroll.
I was a corporal. That was the highest rank I reached in the Marine Corps. There's a set of duties and responsibilities that are commensurate with my position, my rank, and my station. My actual job. And there's a positive responsibility. It isn't passive, It isn't simply in the military, at least in my experience in the Marine Corps.
Please don't.
There's an
Please don't
understanding
scroll. I'm just
that
trying to
I
become
don't
a
just
big
have the
content creator
responsibility to
one day,
understand
but I
the
have no
orders that are being
support.
given to me and to execute them dutifully and faithfully, but I also have a responsibility to understand my responsibility to my command and to understand the commander's intention, right? So I can be court-martialed. I will be held responsible.
I'm just trying to become a big content creator one day.
They'll come to me and they'll say, you were on post and this happened. Why didn't you do this? And I'll be like, well, I didn't think that I should, or I didn't know.
Please don't
That's not an
scroll.
excuse.
I'm just trying to become a big content
You
creator.
have the rank. You have the privilege. You have the authority. You therefore have the responsibility for the failure.
I see. So can I
I
ask?
have a responsibility. Let me give you an example. So I am the head of the executive branch, and I have a duty and responsibility. I have the total, final authority over the entire armed forces of the United States military, which is ironically identified under the aegis of the Department of Defense, which is created by the authority
Please don't scroll. I'm just trying to
of the
become a big
Congress, of the
content creator
Constitution,
one day, but I
having
have no
recognized the
supporters. So
necessity
if you have the
of
chance,
establishing a
please
secure
subscribe.
border, and I do not secure the border. It isn't sufficient to wring my hands and to
Please don't scroll. I'm just trying to be. Please
rhetorically
don't scroll. I'm
assign
just trying.
responsibility to factors outside of my control. I have a responsibility, a positive responsibility to do everything in my power to uniformly and consistently enforce the law. And when I do not, I should be held accountable. I have to be held accountable for that. Else, there is no jurisdiction. There's no legitimacy. if I can have the right and the privilege without the responsibility.
So basically, that's what you're saying is that
So you're making so specific. One, the reasoning that I want to inject into the public consciousness through that question Zach is asking is that if you're not simply the office of president, you're the commander in chief, so that you can oversee the kind of fun things you want to do. But there is a duty and a responsibility as the commander of the armed forces to secure under Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, and no one has been held responsible for that. We have 30 million plus illegal aliens, and that doesn't count the tens of millions, probably 60 million people in this country who were assigned citizenship through an erroneous interpretation of an intentional misrepresentation of the 14th Amendment. And no one has been held accountable for that. No one under this administration will be held accountable for that. There will be hand-wringing, and there will be promises, just as there were under
Who do
Reagan.
you think should be held accountable, and how should they be held accountable?
Every single person who has a duty and a responsibility under the law to secure the border, and who cannot positively show that they did everything in their power, should be tried for treason. Starting with the president, starting with Donald Trump, go back as far as you like. The idea that we would have justice in this country, that we could consistently and uniformly enforce the law without addressing the law breakers, is patently foolish, but it is accepted and endorsed every day by everyone who votes for either party. The rhetoric about new political prosecution is nonsensical. It's a non-starter. No one has been prosecuted in any meaningful way for any of the repeated subversions of the Constitution. When it became known, when Edward Snowden released information about the clear ways in which the government was violating all of our constitutionally protected right to privacy from unreasonable search and seizure, all of the ways that the government was actively depriving us of our First Amendment right to freedom of expression, all of the ways that we were having, all of the ways that the federal authorities, the federal government, was completely subverting and violating our constitutional rights. No one's held accountable for that. No one's taken to trial for that. No one was prosecuted for that because it happened. You accept that it happened. I accept that it happened. We know because it existed in the government. We know the NSA, in conjunction with all of the other federal agencies, actively works to collect information in violation of our constitutional right to be protected from such contents. No one was prosecuted. No one. Instead, what we got was the people who tried to reveal these subversions had to run, they had to flee the country and become expatriates. Because the entire political class on the left and the right recognizes that if they get a platform and a voice, their heads will roll because there are people who are deliberately and intentionally subverting the Constitution and the existence. And we have to seek retribution. It is not sufficient to address the life. We can tell him, well, since you have stolen this car, you are going to...
Where is it gonna come place?
Okay, we'll reserve 2 more minutes for this banging, and then we'll move to the.
I think he's finished. I think he's been smoked.
Runs from us.
Hey,
Their greatest rabbi.
Get out your buns. Time for a barbecue. You've been back.
$5,000 up right now.
Call the medic.
Go get Dr. Michael Brown.
Call the medic.
You see in here.
Man down. Call the medic.
That nigga's pussy just like you.
Call the medic. Man is down. Story over.
That
I
nigga
thank
pussy
you.
Just like you, Normo.
I
Watch
thank
your
you.
fucking mouth, nigga.
Well
You don't know
done,
shit about
fella.
scripture.
Well done, fella.
All these
Okay,
niggas
so are
only
you
they
done?
don't
Chapter and verse, fella.
They've got a minute left, and then we're moving to Vindicator.
Chapter and verse.
Fuck out of here.
Chapter and verse are taken on the road.
These niggas are anti-intellectual. They run around thinking they can just yell anti-Semitic, and that's gonna make them right.
Chapter and
You don't know shit about
verse.
scripture. You don't know a goddamn thing.
Chapter and verse.
We are the ones who own the Old Testament.
Oh, do you? Except you've never seen one. When are you going to buy one?
Israel right now.
When are you going to get yourself an Old Testament?
If it wasn't for a group of Christ followers who fucking...
We don't have an Old Testament. We just have the Torah.
If it wasn't for the American army, which is made up of Christ followers, you niggas would be dust.
We got a book that you've never seen or touched.
If it wasn't for Christ followers...
We got a book you've never seen. You are welcome to your God.
Would be dust in the
You are welcome to worship your God. You can worship a Jew. Mazel tov, you worship a Jew. Mazel tov. Mazel tov to you and your God. There you got it.
Don't ever let these little pussies run around trying to make it like they're chosen.
Tell your God I said hi.
If it wasn't for the Americans, you niggas would be dust in the Middle East.
Time to read. Time for your gefilte fish.
If it wasn't for Americans, we are primarily Christian over
Well,
here.
why are you running away from the scripture? What happened to the scripture? I thought you were going to read chapter and verse, fuck out of here.
Run around here. Look,
Where does it say he's going to come?
America and Israel, it is a dynamic between a rich billionaire and his fucking bimbo ass girlfriend. Israel is our bimbo ass girlfriend who thinks she doing something, who thinks she hot shit. Bitch, we pay for everything.
You think you're in Chicago now?
Now, what would you look at the time? We're moving on to other hot shit, which would be Vindicated, and then Chappelle.
Yes, and actually, can I just go after Sugar Belly? I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to respond to whatever she has to say.
Okay, so I don't know, right? Like, I found that exchange quite funny, but I also found it quite embarrassing because I just don't understand why a Nigerian would be arguing with a Jew about their religion. Like, even Christianity is more culturally tied to them than it is to you. Like, Christianity has nothing to do with Nigerians. Judaism has nothing to do with Nigerians. The Bible, I'm not
American land, and then once Vindicated,
yeah, like
you
the Bible is not about you. Like, Jesus Christ probably never even knew there was anybody like Nigerians in his entire lifetime. It just has nothing to do with you. And I understand it's like, okay, fine, maybe, you know, you were born into this religion, you were exposed to this religion, but I find Black people who are so into the Abrahamic cinematic universe to be pathetic and, you know, just embarrassing. Because if you think about it, like, all the other groups of people are into their own mythology. They're into their own, like, you know, cultural mythos, their own, like, religious mythos. The Indians are into, you know, their Hinduism, and, like, they've got, like, a whole universe that, like, kind of exists in Hinduism. The Chinese, you know, are into their own, you know, religious whatevers. You know, there's Buddhism in, like, that part of the world and stuff like that. Japanese have Shintoism. And it's not for, like, a lack of religions in Africa. Tons of, like, really cool religions in Africa. We're both Nigerian. You know, you're Yoruba. Like, there's, like, a whole Ifa, you know, mythology and, like, religions and gods and this and that. And, like, people, and there's, like, a whole Odinani, whatever. But you almost never find people arguing about these types of things. Instead, everybody wants to die on the hill of somehow associating themselves with the Bible or the Jews or whatever. If you're not fighting that you're the real Jews, you're fighting that you're the real Egyptians, or you're fighting that you're the real Jesus. It's embarrassing. It's actually really embarrassing. But, like, it's also really funny. I mean, you know, I'm not telling you to stop. Please don't, like, take this as me telling you to stop. Like, by all means, if you want to, you know, believe, you know,
It's 287G, right? The Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement capacity to delegate authority to train jailers and deputize them with federal authority to enforce immigration law under Title 8. Yeah, that's not old. It's not new, but it's not old. And yeah, it's a voluntary program that I talked about several times in my immigration rooms. And you know, many sheriffs are participating, and it's not as broad or powerful as you think it is. It's very, very weak. The requirements to fulfill that program are that they've committed some other crime that has caused the police to come into contact with them. And yeah, it's pretty weak. Like, actually read 287G and you'll be
Show me your papers.
That's the only way.
Show me your papers.
Where are your papers?
Silence, please. Show me your papers before you continue to speak with me. Silence, please. Show me your papers now, or I will put you under arrest immediately. I mean, I was thinking, why not essentially take over American Airlines and make it the chief deporter and use the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force